The small to medium luxury SUV market has been traditionally dominated by the Germans with the Audi Q3 and Q5 and the BMW X3 and X5. But now some others want to get in on the act. The Japanese have with Mazda and the CX-60, and the Koreans have done it with this, the Genesis GV70. If you're in the market for a new car, then you've come to the right place. My name is Alex Dalrymple, and this is Four Wheels and a Seat, my channel, where every week I review a brand new car, and I do it from your point of view. I don't get too bogged down in the tech stuff. It's more about what the car is like to drive, how it feels, and what it's like to live with for a week or so. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you never miss a review, hit the notification bell, and if you give me a like as well, that'd be great. The GV70 has been on the market for a little while now. I have reviewed it a couple of times before, including the electrified version. If you want to check out one of those reviews, click the link just up there. But it's like this car has taken a little while to grab hold, and now it's finally starting to sell really well. In fact, in the last 12 months, Genesis have moved 3 times as many GV70s as they did in the year before. There's a new model, a refreshed model, coming out in 2024, but before that one comes out, I thought it would be good to have one last look at this car and find out why it is just so good. Well, I mean, outwardly, it's a really good looking car. From the front, we've got these fantastic looking headlights. They're parallel, and the driving lights are just thin little lines there with a big front grille. The front badge does look like it's been inspired slightly by Aston Martin, and if you don't have your glasses on, it would be easy to confuse the two. Side on, and this car's red color really does serve it so much better than the white paint job that the last GV70 I reviewed had. This car, being a top spec Sport Luxe model, comes with 21-inch dark grey alloys with red brake calipers. We also get a full-length sunroof up on top, and you can see that the overall shape really is perhaps a little more Mercedes-Benz than BMW or Audi. The back of the GV70, I think, is probably its best angle, especially with the tail lights that look like they've come off a 1960s Pontiac. Down low, those 2 big exhaust pipes aren't just for show. They actually do make a decent noise, even if they are surrounded by a mountain of black plastic. The powered tailgate hides a 542-litre storage space, which expands by a further 1,000 or so with the rear seats down. And I can actually tell you that this is actually a really practical space. So I took this car on a family holiday to the beach last week, and unfortunately the weather wasn't really great for us, so I don't really have too much footage of it. But it did fit in all of our gear, and I was a little bit scared that it wouldn't. But this car's boot is actually just perfect for a family road trip. There are a few different engine specs available in the GV70. The entry-level models come with a 2.5 litre 4-cylinder turbo. There's a fully electric version, and then there's this one, which is a 3.5 litre V6, and it outputs 279 kilowatts of power and 530 newton meters of torque, shooting this car to 100 k's per hour in 5.1 seconds. Fuel economy comes in at an average 11.3 litres per 100 kilometres, and I've actually been bettering that. I've been hovering around 10.5. The interior of the GV70, I think, is probably the best looking of any Genesis car. It's not as chintzy or as over the top as the G80, and it's a bit more special than the G70. It's just a perfect blend of luxury and technology with some really nice materials. We've got real stitching all through the dash with Napa leather seats and nice soft touch materials. It feels like a premium car should. Genesis have done a really good job with the infotainment in this car. We've got a 14.5-inch screen here in the center, which looks amazing. It is really, really good. The software runs a slightly modified version of the regular Hyundai Kia software, but it does feel a bit more special for this car. There's Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, but you will need a USB cable to use them. That's only because of some silly legal dispute that is preventing Hyundai Group cars from using the wireless system in some of their upper end models. Apple CarPlay has been just a little bit flaky for me this week. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. More often than not it does work, but the interface itself runs really, really smoothly, and it looks fantastic on this big screen. The sound system is powered by Lexicon, and it has 16 speakers, and hand on heart I can say it is actually one of the most impressive sound systems I've encountered in any car recently. Climate controls are run completely separately from the center screen. They're on their own little touch capacitive screen down here with haptic feedback, really easy to use. The seats are heated and ventilated. They're both controlled from this screen as well. There's an additional zone of climate control for rear seat passengers. We've got a row of shortcut buttons here underneath that for the center screen, which I have barely touched this week at all. It's just easier for me to use it either through the jog wheel or via touch. This little cubby here hides your wireless phone charging and USB inputs. We've got the big jog wheel here for the center screen, another dial here to change gears, and it is easy to get these two confused, especially if you're feeling a little bit under the pressure while doing a 3-point turn and you're holding up traffic. It's easy to go for the wrong dial and going, why isn't this going into drive, or why isn't it going to reverse? It's because you're using the wrong dial. Center console bin with a nice deep storage space in there, 2 cup holders here too. Head-up display on the windshield, pretty straightforward. The digital instrument cluster I really love. There's a few different display modes, but my favorite one is this kind of blue techie one, and it's got a 3D capability in it, and which unfortunately doesn't show up on camera, but it just looks really, really good. Steering wheel, standard Genesis unit. This is the same one as the G70, I think, and it does everything you need it to do. Feels really nice with red stitched leather around the outside. And just, yeah, has a really nice feel with paddle shifters on the back. The seats are tremendously comfortable. They are Nappa leather, as I mentioned before. There is full electric adjustment. There are 3 massage functions, lumbar support. They are heated and ventilated. And speaking as somebody who did a road trip in this car last week, I can tell you this is a very, very comfortable place to be. And it's the exact same story for the passenger seat. They don't miss out on any functionality at all either. And the seating position is nice and high in the cabin. I feel like it could be a little bit lower and feel a little bit more sporty for the driver. I do feel like I'm kind of resting up on top of this car a little bit, but other than that, it's a pretty good driving position with fantastic visibility right to the front of the big bonnet there, and good visibility through the rear vision mirror and in the blind spots as well, because the windows are nice and large. And to help you with your blind spot visibility, we do have blind spot cameras. They appear here on the digital instrument cluster whenever you turn an indicator on for both left and right. Backseat passengers, as I mentioned before, there's an additional zone of climate control back there, more nice Nappa leather seats, and my kids were very, very happy back there on their road trip, mainly because there's 2 USB-A charging ports back there, which kept them amused, and they can also have some control over the air conditioning for the whole car, which kind of drove me insane. If they turn their fan up, it turns it up for the entire cars. Driving the GV70 is exceptionally easy, if that makes sense. There's really no sort of learning curve in driving this car. It is very easy to get in and feel at home straight away. It is such a smooth, comfortable ride. The steering has a fantastic weight to it. It's not too heavy, not too light. The seating position is great. The performance from the engine is exactly what you think it should be. And it is just such an easy car to get in and go with. And in terms of the driving experience compared to, say, a BMW or Audi, I can't really tell the difference, if I'm honest. It is, without going sort of back to back, you're not really missing out on anything in the Genesis. The fit and finish in the cockpit here is exactly as it should be. Everything feels really solid, made out of fantastic materials. In fact, it can be so quiet in this cabin that my uncle, who I picked up on Christmas Day to bring back to our place for lunch, thought this was an EV. So yes, there are a few different drive modes. We have Eco, Comfort, Sport, Sport Plus, and you can design your own drive mode with Custom as well. Then there are 3 terrain modes of snow, mud, and sand. But if you flick it into Sport mode and put your foot down, the engine does make a nice noise. Safety gear, this car has everything you'd expect a luxury SUV should have. So there's forward collision alert, blind spot monitors in the wing mirrors, the cameras that appear on the instrument cluster, as I mentioned before when you turn the indicator on, speed sign recognition, and the adaptive cruise control really did make our road trip a very relaxing experience. Cruising along the highway at 110, the car was virtually driving itself. It wouldn't quite let me do that. It would tell me to put my hands back on the wheel if I ever took them off, but it was pretty much steering, accelerating and braking all by itself. It also guaranteed that we weren't going to run afoul of any speed cameras. So with its tech, its luxury interior, terrific performance and great build quality, this car can do everything that a luxury European SUV can do. It just doesn't have the high price tag or that badge. In fact, it's missing two badges, one at the back and one at the front. So if you're willing to forgo those and save yourself a bit of money, then the Genesis GV70 could be the luxury SUV you're looking for.